Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. This is our verse that we're working through this week in our virtual VBS for GrownUp Girls in our special study of Psalm 23, He leadeth me. What does it mean that His rod and His staff comfort us? They comfort me. How can they comfort me? These are questions I've been asking, and I've been a good little Christian girl all my life. I have learned this psalm and said it many, many times over the years from the time I was a toddler. Never given it a whole lot of thought when we come to the rod and the staff part. I've always said those words in the same way that we might say pen or pencil, like they're the same thing, and that generally means somehow that Jesus is on it. He's protecting me with those tools that He has. But as preparation for this study, I've been digging a little deeper, and I've learned some things I want to share with you this morning. First of all, the rod. We often conflate that with scriptures that talk about discipline, spare the rod, spoil the child. But as I have looked into it and studied what scholars have to say, they tell us to put that imagery aside when it comes to the Good Shepherd. A good shepherd never beats or disciplines, beats up on, uses his rod on the sheep. The rod is like a club. It's a short, little heavy piece of wood, carved often with some decoration, but it's a club that is used to defend and protect the sheep. Let me say that again. It's never to beat up on the sheep. A good shepherd never beats or abuses or harms his sheep in any way. That club, that rod, is there to whip at the nearest predator who comes out of the woods or across the field with intent to harm the sheep. A good shepherd will spend his afternoons practicing his aim and get so good at it that he can peg that wolf, that bear, that lion from a great distance and never let it get too close to his sheep. So that rod is the protection and the defense. It's also a symbol of authority, kind of like the badge that a sheriff wears, right? It's the symbol that he is in charge. He is the authority. He is the shepherd, and he will protect. He'll do whatever it takes to protect his sheep. Now, the staff has many different uses, and that's the one that we think of with the shepherd's crook we see in all the nativity plays, right? It's a good walking stick for the shepherd. Some of them have double hooks that kind of go different ways, and you can hang a light on one of the little hooks. But he also uses that crook to gently nudge or guide or guard his sheep, bring them a little bit closer to him, lift them out of a pit if they fall in it, lift them out of brambles and thorns. Scholars tell us it's an extension of his arm, and he uses it to gather his sheep close, to guide them gently, to nudge them this way or that, and to rescue them whenever they've come into harm. And that is such beautiful imagery. Now I get even more than I did before how his rod and his staff can be a comfort to us. We're talking about walking through the valley of the shadow of death, and that can mean all kinds of things. We're thinking about the kinds of predators that frighten us. And now sometimes we have encountered, some of us, people who have brought harm to us, enemies who the enemy of our souls uses to try to attack us. But often those enemies, those predators, might just as well be fear or doubt or discouragement, grief, things that threaten to devour us. But our Good Shepherd promises that He's with us every step of the way, even when we're facing our own mortality, an uncertain future. He is with us, and His rod and His staff, they comfort us. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this as you're reflecting and doing your own study, seeing how God is speaking to you through these verses this week. I'm coming to you from England. My husband and I just flew over for a conference on C.S. Lewis. We're both speaking and teaching for the next 3 weeks. And for you literature buffs, I'm standing in C.S. Lewis's garden. Behind me is his house. We're excited to have the privilege to stay here for a couple of days on our way to the conference. But again, I'm so grateful for this sweet time together. I'm loving what God is speaking to you and the way that you're sharing and ministering to each other. And I can't wait to see what He'll do next.